Hi everyone, just a little video, mostly because I'm doing the mystery quilt now. It's kicked off, it's called Noughts and Crosses for 2026, and we're doing a lot of Dresden Plates, so these, okay, and I do mine by hand. You could do it by machine, whatever you want, but I like by hand, and these lovely curves on the edges. How do we get these curves right? So this is me just showing you quickly how I achieve this. All right, some of you do or don't know that I have a new ruler that's been made. Okay, it's called a sampler ruler. You've got holes in it, so there's your Dresden shape, you've got diamonds and you've got hexagons. At this end you've got a 4.5 inch square with all of the diagonals and points, which is brilliant for triangles and such like. Bearing in mind, if you're doing a traditional sampler with a 12 inch square block, that's your 4 inch square that goes within with its seam allowance. 1 inch wide along, which is brilliant for doing log cabin. The actual ruler is 12.5 inches. That's the size of your finished block with its seam allowance, so that's really good. It's got a 1/4 inch hole there, so that if you need to check your seams, that's there as well. Right, so that's my new template ruler, which is called a sampler ruler. Okay, so you can do all sorts of your traditional blocks from that. So I'm using this today, or you could use another template, whatever you've got going on. Now I'm going to drop you down a little bit so that I can show you what I'm doing. There we go. So I've already drawn one on there, but I can draw another one quickly for you just to show you how easy it is. Put him there. Hopefully you can see that. Get yourself a pen or pencil or whatever it is you're doing, and you're literally, how easy is that? So much easier than drawing around things and fiddling and whatever else. So then you cut those out and tack your fabric around. So I use like a thin card, you can see that. It's thicker than paper. Paper will tend to fold on you as you're trying to work, all right? So English paper piecing, thin card. I've got some here I prepared earlier, like a good Blue Peter person. Okay, so what do I do? There's lots of ways of doing things. This is how I do it. It might suit you, it might not. Okay, so I just get a pin and I'm gonna pin my paper to my fabric, and then I'm cutting out. Now don't skimp on your seam allowance, all right? Makes life awkward when you're trying to tack things into place. You can trim them later, it's not a problem, but I do tend to use more than 1/4 inch, as you can see. Not quite 1/2 inch, but or at least headed that way. All right, okay, so I've got some thick cotton here. This is just so that you can see what I'm doing. I always start with a knot, and this is the important bit, the tacking on of the fabric around the paper. Okay, so I always start off on a long edge. So we're through. I'm just going to get you quickly to the end, to the bit that I really need to show you, which is the curve. Okay, so I'm at the end there. I'm going to fold that in, okay, and then you're going to tack through all of the layers. I should have used a different colour fabric maybe, never mind. Okay, so now how I do it is I fold the fabric under my nail. Can you see that's creating a pucker? I then hold that pucker in place with the other fingers and stitch so that you're holding it solid, all right? So under, I'm trying to get the thread out of the way, hold it, stitch it. I usually do this under my thumbnail, but I'm trying to show you back to front what's going on. So how I would do it, I don't know if you can see that, is I get my thumbnail in there. I've got a pucker, I hold it, I stitch it. Now, some will say, I haven't got any nails. Try it, even with little tiddly ones. It works. So, in there, got a pucker, hold it, stitch it. Pucker, hold it, stitch it. In there, hold it, stitch it. I'm holding that actually quite tight. In there, create your pucker, hold it, stitch it. Got a knot, wasn't planned, never mind. See, can I get this? Is because I'm using a great big thick thread. There we go. And at the end there, I'm holding the pucker and I'm turning that in. All right, make sure you go through all the layers in the corners, and then you're on the home run. All right, now hopefully you can see all those puckers and you can see a nice curve, pretty well smooth. All right, so that's how I do my tacking, and the tacking to me is very important. Let me get you back up again. Hello there. Yes, so there we have with the tucking. Then we're going to join to there. All right, I always turn the end in, by the way. Okay, I like to see the hole in the center of the Dresden. You could put a circle on the top, in which case you wouldn't fold that in. Always join them from the outside edge and work in as you're stitching. All right, so right sides together like that, and then you'll stitch, 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 stitch. All right, from that end. If they're slightly different lengths at this end when you get there, once you've got your full circle and you take the papers out, you can adjust that and make it look pretty. All right, so stitching across as you're joining. All right, I always use a fine needle and a plique needle if I can, provided I can see to thread it, the finest I can see to thread. And then there's a little bit of fabric from each side. I start, sorry, from this end, and I always put the needle, I run the needle from the paper out the corner, and then when I get to the end, I turn around, come back several stitches and cut off. I use a general colour thread that I can use through everything. If I'm doing a whole quilt, different colours, I get a neutral. This is a Gutermann, what is it? It's a 618. Gutermann, because I've always used Gutermann, and I like, that's like 30 odd years worth of, and some. But the other thing that I use a lot is this one. Now, this is a Gutermann silk thread, number 700. It's really soft, and I don't quite know how to describe it, but it sort of disappears into the fabric, which gives a really good, nice look. And when you open it out, hopefully you don't see any stitches. Lovely. All right, so that's what I use. Once I've joined my full ring, excuse me, I would then give it a really good iron like I've done here, and I take the papers out, and I'll give it another iron. If these start springing open, the edges, I'll give it another iron, and then put that onto your background fabric, and then I blind hem stitch all the way around, like an applique stitch that you can't see. As I say, if you wanted, you could put a circle on the top. Some people always fill their Dresdens with a circle. I like to see the background coming through. All right, so there we go. That's just a quick how I do my Dresden. If you're taking part in the mystery quilt, do go and look at the Facebook group that's been set up privately for the minute for those taking part, called Noughts and Crosses Mystery Quilt 2026. request to join it if you're taking part, and then I'll let you into the group. There's another video there that explains it and more detail of what we're doing. All right, thanks for watching. Be lovely.